Everybody, he is here. It is Batman Who Laughs.
I've never seen you laugh before. I don't think I like it.
No, not that one. I'm actually pretty upset because I went to film the assembly for you guys and apparently the camera wasn't recording, which is too bad because we did a no pants, no shirt assembly. But stay tuned for the no pants review. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. Today we are reviewing Prime One Studios' Batman Who Laughs 1/3 scale. What does all that mean? Well, a review is a detailed look and Prime One Studios is the manufacturer of this piece, and this is Batman Who Laughs. Who is that? I don't know too much about Batman Who Laughs. I've really wanted to get into the Batman Metal comics, but I do know the basics. So obviously just looking at him, you know that this is not Batman and this is not a hero. This is an evil guy. So he's from the multiverse, a different dimension.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension.
And he's kind of a mix between Joker and Batman together. And you even see little Robins around him that are evil. I think these are called Night Robins. They've been kind of Jokerized. But Prime One Studios just came out with this piece, and I am ecstatic to have it. It's one of the most anticipated pieces from Prime One Studios, and I can let you guys know right now, he does not disappoint. Which I was a little worried because somebody already mentioned that they got him in hand and he was so horrible they already returned him. To each his own. So today we're going to take an in-depth look at him, going to do a whole bunch of close-ups and pictures, and you can decide for yourself, is this a Grail piece? Little bit of background before we get started. They actually made 1,200 of these. 500 are the exclusive version, which this is not. And then 700 are this normal collector's version, which retailed for $1,199. The exclusive version was 200 before, and it came with this proximity piece. It's another Night Evil Robin that you can sit next to it. In my mind, clearly not worth $200 for me, so I passed. I'll show you some pictures of the boxing and stuff like that when we get to design, but first part of the review is concept. So let's dive right in. Now, because I'm a little unfamiliar with the character, I don't know how accurate this is. I've seen pictures, obviously. There's also some Easter eggs I may miss in here as well. So let's start at the bottom. Any Prime One Studios Batman piece seems like it's on the top of a building with some type of gargoyles, and this is no exception. You have these weird metallic creatures with huge open mouths on the bottom of this building. It's almost like a pedestal for a cathedral or something like that. You have a bunch of ivy growing around it. And I don't think there's any relation to the Hush series, but it kind of shows the building is old and worn. And as you move up, you start to see the Night Robins. Not only are they extremely evil, they look like Robin with the Joker face, but their face is deformed, and they are crawling all over this guy with this weird skin. And you see they are chained up, and we're going to talk about that in design, almost like they're his pets. And he is standing there, and he's got some crazy mixtures between Batman and Joker going on. This is what we call a museum pose, so like he's posing for a picture. But you move up, he is completely decked out with all three Robins around him, and he's very proud, very badass, victorious. I am the champion, and he looks evil as hell, and I just love pieces like this. I'm a big fan of horror movies, and I think this kind of falls into that, even though it's a comic. On the back of it, you'll see during close-up, they actually have his title, The Batman Who Laughs, and a Batman symbol on the bat like they always do. What I really love about him is it seems like it's more than just one statue with all the Robins crawling all over it. It's a diorama, and realistically, at the price point for a 1/3 scale, it's not too bad. But overall, I love this concept. It is so evil. I think this is a piece that people are just going to stare at when they walk in. I think the concept on this is an X. I think it's a 5 out of 5, or an extreme statue, as we would say. Design is kind of crazy on this piece. There's a lot of unique stuff going on. So first of all, here's a look at the box. Very heavy box, probably weighed around 60 or 70 pounds. You can see my cell phone on the top for reference. And then here's a picture of the top of the art box. And surprisingly, they didn't have a character on the art box, but here's the front of it. And then they have a crap load of precautions that nobody reads on the sides. And then right inside, they have your traditional Prime One brochures to advertise. And here's a picture of the first layer. These were mostly body parts that were in here. So no actual bodies or base. And the second layer had the base and the body of Batman Who Laughs himself. So to kind of summarize for you, all four characters Their portrait was a different piece, and their arms were different pieces, and then of course the chains. Now what's interesting is there's absolutely no switch outs with this. Even if you got the exclusive, it's just that second proximity base. The chains are crazy. Not only do they have the traditional directions, which I did look at to save time because I'm trying to beat Jem. I don't know if I did or not. But the chains were probably half those directions, about 30 of them. And the chains actually came with a lot of chains I didn't even use. You can do anything you want with the chains. There's 3 different chains and they attach via a small clasp, almost like a necklace, onto the mixed media collars of each Robin. And you run them through Batman Who Laughs hands using a hook. It's actually fairly easy and fairly genius. I do worry about the chains resting on things and fading away the paint. But I think too many chains is overpowering, so I like it like this, where he has each one connected and chained up through one chain. I think this is definitely the way to go, but to each his own. Assembly was great. There was no big issues other than the back here. I could not get this all the way down. Here's a picture of it, and maybe I just need to disassemble it and try it again. But thankfully it's at the back, so I don't really care. Scale-wise, he does look like he's 1/3. Let's get the dimensions really quick. So his widest point, 17.5 inches. That's where the fence on the back comes out. If you go deep from the Robin hand, it's right under 17 inches as well. And then I'm gonna guess a little over 30 inches on the height. About 32 to the top of his spiked ear. So I think design's great. They did an awesome job. The chains are obviously concerned. This not going all the way in is kind of a pain, but it is what it is. And it could just be user error, but I think the design's a 4 out of 5. I think this is a rail of a design. So recently I did a review where I did video close-ups while I talked about the paint and sculpt, and that's what we're gonna do today. So let me know in the comments if you like the review this style or if you like the still pictures that we go back and forth on. We'll mix it up even more by starting at the top here. But this portrait is amazing. I love what they did. I love the colors and they used around the lips and the mouth and the teeth. Looks phenomenal. Great paint job, great sculpt. His hat, very, very cool. You know, it has those remnants of Batman with the ears, of course. And I need to read the comics. I don't know why he doesn't have eyes, but the portrait is just done fantastic. And his clothing, while it's mostly black, you see some remnants of this maroon color. That's especially true on the back of the hood. And as you move down, he has straps all over, almost indicating like some type of bondage, which, I don't know, kind of ties into the chains he's using on the Robin. But you see mostly the similar shades of black. It almost looks like a brown underneath certain lights. And you see some tattered clothing with this great texture right here and some of that more maroon color. But I love the straps, the buckles, all looks fantastic. And a lot of the same on the back, but a little bit different design. They have kind of this rope pattern that almost makes it look like this was stitched together. Almost like a overcoat. And you see more of that on his arms as well, where it's all stitched together. You see the folds and the wrinkles. Not much anatomy on this piece, but you wouldn't expect it. Now his skin is very similar to the Robin's, very pale and veiny, vampire-ish in a way. These long black fingernails. Then as you move down to the bottom of his torso, a lot of the same going on here, ripped up with these white stitches. Paint job, sculpt looks good. Like I said, not really a lot of anatomy on here. He has these weird freaky shoes, almost like elf/clown shoes, platform shoes, some Pee Wee Herman stuff going on. Different type of texture in here. These red laces, I like how they match the color, very similar throughout. And then let's start looking at some of these Robins. And while they're mostly the same except in different positions, you have that same pale skin with some blue veination going on. Kind of these very Robin-like boots. This off teal color. And then I love the texture and the shading in the Robin uniform. Still has his utility belt, very worn, very old. Prime One's great at pouches. Take a look at his sleeves, some more texture in that, but different color than his shirt. His gloves look great with the white stitching on it. And they kind of have these pointed fingers. Let's look at his portrait, and we'll look at all 3 portraits here. So this is probably my least favorite, but I love how gruesome it is. The eyes are all shaded white. Awesome teeth. Again, great job around the mouth. A little bit of a glistening effect. Great strands in his hair, classic green Joker hair. And this guy actually has a tie on. He's the only one that has a tie on top of his chained collar. Kind of interesting. Little Easter egg. And their capes, very similar to their shirts. It's this black cape flowing, tattered with lots of texture on it. Some of the highlights you didn't see earlier in their hair as well. Kind of these mix between dark and lighter highlights. Here's the portrait on this guy. Very freaky, very awesome. His bottom lip isn't jutting out like the other one, but classic elf ears. So almost a cross between Robin, Joker, and kind of a demon-like creature. It's more that white stitching on the costume. The brown collar looks great. A lot of detail into this. And here's my favorite portrait. Teeth open, tongue sticking out. Very cool. I love what they did with their skin. And down here, let's take a look at the base. This is where I think the most opportunity is. Seems kind of bland on the paint and the sculpt. Not as much detail in there. But it does look cool. I think the base is the weakest part of this piece. And maybe I find it kind of boring because it's so similar to so many other Batman pieces. Even right here, I think the tree or the vines growing up on here don't look that real. Especially on the sculpt of it. And has this red paint similar, so if they were trying to follow the rest of the statue with the maroon paint, I get that. Classic bat symbol on the back of all their pieces. It still looks good, don't get me wrong. Then here is the gate. Another interesting thing I didn't really talk about. The base is light, Robin is light, even this gate is light. It's more of a resin, but Batman Who Laughs himself is extremely heavy. Heaviest part of the statue. Honestly, I think Prime One Studios does it again. The paint is fabulous, a few parts where it's a dark statue. I think I would have liked a little more light to contrast it, but I understand why they did it. And so the sculpt, a few areas they could have used more detail, but overall it's really good. I think I'm going to give the paint on this a 4 out of 5. You know, some of the things they did, especially with the robins and around the face of the Batman Who Laughs, are awesome. I think the paint was really well done, despite some of the things I wanted to see in the base. But I'm going to go ahead and give the sculpt a 3 out of 5. It's still very nice, it's still very good, and the biggest reason I'm doing that is a lot of it just seemed a little boring. The concept was awesome. If I graded the sculpt based on all the portraits alone, it would be a 5 out of 5. But definitely some opportunity there to be next level, but I still think this is a kick-ass statue. This is amazing. I love it. Never going to leave the collection, at least for a long period of time. It's a 4 out of 5 statue. It's a rail. It's not a grail, but it's a statue that people would really want if they're into this kind of thing. We didn't talk about the value. $1,200 for a 1/3 scale diorama. I think that's a great value. You have awesome, paint and sculpt. You have a great concept. The design is smart. So I'm going to give the value kind of after the fact a 4 out of 5 as well. A rail on the value. We're almost at 10,000 subs. We should probably hit it in the next week, and we're doing this giveaway right here. We're giving away these 2 Venom statues. Make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. So that video will launch really soon, but in the meantime, throw a comment down below. Comments every month get you into the Xtrise drawing to win a gift packet to send you on the 15th of each month. But I love this piece. Let me know what you think of it. Would you buy this, whether you like the character or not? And it makes me definitely want to get more into the metal comics. So check out some of these other Prime One Studios Batman-related pieces, and hit that subscribe button on that symbol. But I appreciate you guys watching. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care.